But the difficulty is, it's not out-of-towners versus us as much as folks that just aren't familiar with the way the mountains lay and how you can do things. And there's a lot of talk about mandatory conferences to set out, to talk about the best way to do it and have voluntary compliance. There's a lot of things, mandatory compliance, and we just need to see where people feel about that.
Well, I don't think they're verbalizing it to you, but I do feel that the feeling is there very strongly. When we see things happen like that, when we see the mud sliding down into our roads from the rain because they're developing it. I mean, you read about it in the papers. What do you got? I mean, what are the plans here? Are they just turning the other way and letting these developers come in and do whatever they want? I understand that they have to develop, but there should be restrictions that they can't take the trees off the mountains like they are.
The trees we hadn't gotten to, the steep slopes right now is state law. We've done a lot about impervious surface. Well, the way we've tried to attack it is impervious surfaces. You know, you can only tear up so much, and you'll have one shot to do it, either your house side or your roads, and we're talking about that. We've tried to do things by slope. The steeper the slope, the less you can do. But, you know, that's tough because one mountain might have 2 or 3 different slopes on it, as y'all know. So that's a tough one to get your arms around. But we have passed some of the most restrictive laws in the mountains. But we want to do what's right for this community. We know we don't have all the answers, but we want to hear, and that's what we need to hear from y'all. If you feel strongly that way, I think it's something we're going to be taking up pretty heavily in the fall, and we want to hear from you. And thank you for taking time. Yes, sir, in the back.
I'd like to just make sure that everyone here tonight, we're having this meeting in June the 8th, I think, in Bob. Please bring your neighbors, friends, or whoever, because if we're going to get engaged in this thing and have any input at all with the county commissioners, Land of Sky, and all, we need everybody's input. It's just not 2 or 3 of us. We need everyone's input.
Right.
And that's where we're trying to head with this deal that we're going with, is to get everybody here. So please tell all your friends, your neighbors, everyone to please come out on the 8th and let's share some ideas so that we can get back to the commissioner or whoever's going to be making these decisions in the future and let them know how we feel and what we would like to see in our community. And I think this is a way that we've got to go about it. And I'd like to also thank you guys for being here again and coming out and being with us. And one other question. How do you feel we as a community can become more engaged with the county commissioners, sharing our ideas and getting your ideas?
Well, you know, as I was driving down here, I was thinking this is probably, you all are probably as engaged with us as any other community in Buncombe County. And I think this building sort of speaks for itself, because by being engaged, you were able to get some dollars to help build it. The pool situation, we're trying to talk about the health care and what can we do to make that happen. We're looking at that. We're here tonight to hear what you have to say, and we're listening to every word that you have to say, and we're trying to put that into our program of work that we're trying to develop currently. I think you need to keep inviting us back. I think that you need to, if you see things that we're talking about in the paper or through Joanne or through anybody that's connected with us, you know, talk to us about it. Don't hesitate, pick up the phone and call us, because we're going to listen to. That's the important thing.
We've seen things happen in the North End where you ended up having to get reactive to unwanted things, like the possibility of was it a concrete plant or something there? And that, I think, is one of the things that worries people. We know growth is coming, just, you know, what kind of growth?
As the new kid on the block, I was hoping that I wouldn't even have to utter the word zoning for a while. Well, you know, and because that there was an era, I guess, and from a legal standpoint, and all of that got thrown out. So all of our effort right now is to get us back to where we were, so we can build on that with other smart growth and other kind of development activities. And when we get ready to do that, as David said, we're gonna go to all the communities in Buncombe County, we're gonna listen to people and try to get as much information as we can from everybody and try to put that in place.
Yeah, can I answer your question again a little bit more? The one thing that y'all have done brilliantly here is when you come to us, you also have some community support with some money. You put your money where your mouth is. We get requests from people every day. Give us money. Well, if we figure if the community's not willing to put at least some elbow grease in there or do something themselves, they're probably not going to get funded particularly now. But your community has done it. All of you, the Morgans and all of you have, you've done your part of it. You've given part yourself, and it's a lot easier. Let me put it this way: it's harder to say no when you have some money at the table instead of give me money 100%. Give us a grant, and those are the ones that get funded. If you do something yourself and show us that this community is willing to put some money of their own up, either through labor or through actual money, then you're more likely to get funded. And we want to hear from you. We're going to listen a lot better because we know that you're serious instead of just trying to get money from nothing.
And I'd like to make a little additional comment to what David said, and that is that we have a conversation with you all the time. It's not when you need something now. We always have a conversation with you. We know when things are going good, when they're not going so good. We know what you're doing. We know the involvement of folks in your community. We know what's happening here at the center. We feel a part of your community because we have that conversation all the time. And then when something comes up and you have a need, we already have that background. We know that the pool, the pump's down. Believe me, we know that because we've had that conversation. Judy will be on the phone with me and she tells me. I know. So it's not a surprise. Nothing is a surprise here. I would be surprised if you weren't as engaged as you are. And that's why it's such a pleasure to come, because they're not surprises. We know you're there. We know you want to do the right things, but we've known that all along. And we're just here to continue that conversation. And we'll be here in the years to come to keep that conversation going.
Let's see. Anybody else? First time? Man back. We'll around.
Hey, my name's Stuart Miles. I'm very member of the community. And I have a couple of questions. First off, thanks for coming. Both about transportation. I know probably other people here commute to Asheville every day. And going down on, I go on the 197, and everyone's turning on 26, going into Asheville, going into Asheville. And I'm interested in, as commissioners, what are y'all looking at as we look at smart roads, knowing that we're probably going to be relying upon the economy of Asheville, the city of, for a good time to come. What are y'all looking at as far as transportation options? Like I see, there's a mud area, which is flea market / parking lot / campground. And I've seen, things like bus, park and rides, things like that, which are very useful in more urban areas. Have y'all put any thought into maybe looking at the long-term transportation options for rural areas like us, which still are dependent on Asheville? Because I personally don't think that $2.50 gas is any sort of thing that's going to last throughout my lifetime.
I can speak a little bit to that, just to begin with, and these gentlemen can add to it. We have something called Mountain Mobility here in Asheville. The Asheville Transit runs the buses within the city limits, but the county has a service that's called Mountain Mobility. And we have added 2 routes just within the past 3 years, I think. One in the Enca County.